Okay, this is a video to show reconnection of a hydronic heating system. Due to a remodeling project, I had taken out a 8-foot section of hydronic. Where that little plastic bag is, there is where it came up, and I cut the copper pipe there, and I desoldered on this end, and I removed the hydronic section. Now I'm going to temporarily reconnect this, but I want to do it in the basement because naturally I don't want to do it in the same place. Okay, so first thing that I did was, my idea was to take this elbow and rotate it 90 degrees and put it down through the basement. I put a hole there, but there wasn't a hole there originally because it didn't go that way. So I've already desoldered that. Okay. So yeah, I have a little problem with the shadow. I desoldered that with my propane torch, and I did get it to come off. I was wearing gloves, but I did use this to rotate it. I didn't want to damage it, but I was able to get it after heating it up quite a bit. It seems like I always have to turn these things into a black mess. But it did come off, and I was able to clean it up. I cleaned up this end, and all I've used on it so far is just this emery paper, the plumber's stuff that comes with the plumber's supply. So I have that off. Now once I got that off, I set up to drill a hole right beneath it. And by rotating it down 90 degrees, I was able to figure out pretty much exactly where I needed that hole to go. Okay. But I didn't want that on there while I was drilling it because I do have limited access to that spot. Now this hydronic will come out so I can get better access while I'm drilling the hole. My first plan was to do a 1-inch hole, and I do have this 1-inch auger bit that's at 1 inch, one of the larger ones. So I did use that with my brace initially, and I started the hole. The brace looked like a relatively good choice for this because it does have a ratcheting mechanism and it doesn't require a lot of clearance, and it did kind of fit into that space. But unfortunately, it wouldn't go all the way through, probably because it wasn't sharp enough. The screwed part on that bit is supposed to pull it through, but the problem can be that if it's not sharp enough to cut well, and this one has been used a bit, so you can see there's a little nick in there, and I haven't sharpened it. I probably should sharpen it. Then the threads may not be able to provide enough power to pull it through, so you end up having to really lean on the brace, and that works. That can work, but in this particular case, because of this corner, I couldn't exactly put all my weight on it. Well, anyway, but I did get it partially through, and then what I did was I just drilled a pilot hole down the middle so I could come in from underneath. I saw where it came in from underneath. I tried using the brace from underneath. That still would not go all the way through for the same reason. I couldn't push up on it because there I'm working against gravity. So what I did find was, that I had one of these spade bits. This was 15/16, which is not quite what I wanted. I wanted 1 inch, but it's close enough. And I just put this into a drill, and I was then able, probably because it was a little bit sharper, and from underneath and above, I was able to. I guess I did this cut actually from underneath, now that I had it set up, and that came through okay. So this section looks like I should be able now to redirect this hydraulic line down into the basement. through this hole. Okay, and I did line this up with this little spare scrap piece I have, just to make sure that the hole's in the right place, and it does line up. So, and also this will slide in and out, and of course you have a little bit of an angle. So the idea on this before soldering it is to have all the pieces in place so it's all lined up the way you want it, and then you'll do it. Now, on the other end, I want to remove that piece because I don't want that coming up anymore at that spot. I want to tie in to where that hydronic line comes, where that connects to. That's where I want to connect underneath, okay? So I'll hit pause and I'll go down into the basement and show you that. Okay, here's where that pipe, copper pipe, comes down into the basement, and it comes out here where it connects into this connecting run. And here is where I want to cut it. If I cut this here, I should be able to take this entire section and move it, simply move it over to the other end where I put the hole down into the basement. And then I should have a straight run between here and this, translated over 8 feet. Okay, I have this tubing cutter set up, and I started going around on it, and it seems to be going nicely. There will be water in here because this is a low spot in the zone, even though I've drained the zone out. So I'm gonna have to use a bucket to catch that when it starts to drip out. Okay, so I'm gonna hit pause and I'll just hopefully complete this cut. Okay, the water has started dripping. I did manage to get a different bucket. This is a 5-gallon bucket, and I have it propped so I can actually hold it there. I will continue the cut. It'll probably start coming out more rapidly, but hopefully I'll be able to capture it all. So I'll use pause again. Okay, it did actually start coming out in a steady stream, and now it's slowing down a bit. Managed to catch most of it, so I'll just finish this off. This shouldn't be, or I might just wait a few minutes while it continues to drip, but I'll finish this cut off and I'll use pause. Okay, thankfully the bucket didn't fall over, and I'm just holding it here, and I'll just let the rest of this drain out. Now, that's going to be the end of this video. What I'm left with now is trying to do the rest of the reconnection, but that'll come later. So thanks.